Welcome to your first ever learning issue. Now, I'm sure you are all excited and want to dive right into your work, but we encourage you all to just take a step back and really think about the process of making LIs and why we even make LIs in the first place. And we hope this makes LIs easier to make, a little more fun, and a little more rewarding. By now, you've likely been acquainted with some steps of the LI process. During PBL, we are assigned learning issues, which we research, create handouts on, and present to our classmates. It sounds simple enough, yet each step of this process brings its own set of challenges. When Raleigh and I did our first LIs, we were overwhelmed. We asked ourselves, what resources should I use? How do I make a handout? Is it too short? Do I have enough detail? How do I present? All of these questions are completely valid. In our future videos, we will help answer these specific questions. We'll talk about what resources to use during the research step, how to format handouts, how to make presentations engaging. But today, we're just going to provide an overview of the entire LI process. Now we're going to talk about our approach to creating LIs. And as a disclaimer, we are by no means experts. Everything we're going to talk about is what has worked for us. You need to do what works best for you. Our approach begins with the end in mind. We ask ourselves, what's the point of making an LI? What are we hoping to achieve? Riley and I believe that the best LIs are LIs that are designed to teach, to help your classmates understand complex material. It may seem obvious, but it can be easy to lose sight of. If you frame your approach to LIs with the intention to help your classmates learn, we find the process of making an LI becomes easier, more educational, and ultimately more meaningful. After all, the best way to know if you've learned something is if you can teach it.
When it's time to make your very first LI, it's going to seem like the most daunting task ever, like climbing a giant mountain. You're going to be stumbling around trying to figure out what the path to the top of this mountain is. But there is no the path. There's a bunch of separate paths, depending on what kind of student you are, what kind of learner you are. But with time, you're going to figure out what's your path to the top of this mountain. So find your path. MD1 is a great time to figure out how to make LIs and what style of making LIs that you prefer. So experiment, make mistakes. At first, PBL is going to seem super scary, and you're definitely not going to want to make any mistakes in front of your tutor and your classmates, but don't worry about it. Make mistakes. Make LIs that are not good LIs. Because when you do that, you're eventually going to figure out how to make super awesome LIs. But you just got to send it. You got to send it like this squid with his helmet and find your path. The method. What are the actual steps to making an LI? So first, you're going to get a learning issue. At the end of PBL, your group mates are going to give you an LI. So in this case, let's say it's heart anatomy. Step one is do some research. We'll talk more about this, but you're going to find information about this topic. And really, you're keeping in mind this question, what do MS1s need to know? Your goal here is to teach. So that's what you're doing with research. You're getting info so you can then teach your group mates. Step two is to make a handout. This handout is going to be a collection of all the info you found through research. So in this case, you'd find info like things about arteries, histology, the chambers, the SA node, the layers of the heart, all this really good stuff. And then step three is going to be to present this information to your group mates. But this is very different from just reading off of your handout. That's not presenting. The way I like to conceptualize this is a handout is a 20-piece chicken nugget box. It's this collection of all these nuggets of information. But when it's time to present, you're going to pull out the most important nuggets from that box and share those with your group mates. So let's see an example of this. This is one nugget. In your presentation, there's going to be multiple slides and multiple nuggets of information, but this is an example of one. So in this case, I'm highlighting that the heart has 4 chambers. And here's a figure showing the pathway that blood goes through the heart. It starts in the right atrium. It goes through these valves, ventricle, left atrium, left ventricle, aorta, out to the body. This pathway is really important to understand as a medical student. And the valve is really important as well. So here's a mnemonic, TPMA. This will help you keep those valves straight. So this is the type of presentation, kind of useful tidbits of information that you want to share with your group mates. This is what a nugget looks like when it's presented with your group. Looking at this process, big picture, we start at the top with research, working with this raw material, essentially, this chicken, and we're going to refine it into our handout. Then we're going to further process it, distilling out the most important information, and that's what we're going to share with our group mates. And this process, if you follow it, we think is a great way to give LIs that'll have your group mates saying, wow, that's high yield. So check out our other videos on each step of the LI process for more.